We're going to talk a little bit about the correct use of the G-code G28. This G-code sends the print nozzle back to its home position or its start position. Now this is where things might get a little bit complicated. The machine actually has two separate datum positions, one that we use to program from and one that the machine calls its home position. So in effect, G28 sends the machine back to its home position, which the machine thinks is X0, Y0, Z0. But because we've been programming from our datum position, this is the position we use, that our measurements come from, for the component that we're printing. The reason I'm discussing the two different datums at play here will be apparent as we move on through this lesson. If we just use G28 and nothing else on that line of code, the machine will always return back to its home position or its start position. No extra information needs to be added, but if we just want to send it back on one axis, we can add that axis to this line of code. So although for all intents and purposes we'd probably only use just G28 to send all three axes back to its home position, if we type G28X0, it will send just the X axis back to its home position, leaving the Z and Y axes in the same position it was when it was last printing. We can also do this with the Y axis or the Z axis. So quite often we might need to use this just to recall the Z axis back to its start position, whilst leaving the X and Y in the same position as it was printing. So to do that, we would just add G28Z0 to recall our Z axis back to its start position in that one axis only. So, to recap, if our datum position that we're programming from and all the measurements for our program for our 3D model is coming from the datum on the bottom left hand side, such as I've shown in this picture, G28 might not necessarily take the print nozzle back to this position. There may be another datum at play where the machine uses as its rest position or its home position. By calling up G28, the machine goes into this mode of looking for its own datum position and not the datum position that we use when we're programming. This could be in the center of the machine bed or the back right corner or anywhere that the machine is previously set up within the parameters. So, although I've gone deep into the theory of what G28 actually means from the machine's perspective, from our perspective, all we really need to know is that the code G28 sends the machine back to its home position, or we can decide to move it in one axis only, or even two axes, by adding X0, Y0 or Z0 to this line of code.